This is Russ. Yeah, I'm still inside. Yeah, still coughing too. Yeah, I've got my water ready. So I may have to take a sip of that every now and then again. So anyways, the last time I asked you guys about Black Friday and if any of you guys had bought some bikes. And also I asked you how you thought the companies would be able to survive after giving such huge discounts, whether people would expect that kind of discount all the time from them going forward. But I appreciate all the comments that came back. Several of you guys said that you did buy a bike during Black Friday. Good for you. Others have said that they have everything that they need. Good for you. And some gave some predictions of what we might be seeing going forward, and that's why they're waiting. Now, I took that pretty interesting to me. I took it as an interesting thing to me. Let me say it properly. Because I was thinking about that kind of stuff too, okay? I was thinking, hey, what are they getting ready for? I mean, if they're selling these things so low, some of them may be blowing them out just to clear it out. There might be new stuff coming, right? So was it a mistake to buy on Black Friday? I don't think it's a mistake, because even if the new stuff comes out, it's still going to cost you some money, all right? They're not going to discount those things anytime soon. But you got a good deal for the other products that may or may not be going out of the line. You never know. I mean, if it's heavily discounted, it might be totally going out of the line. And others, they get discounted because they just want to make some sales. So I was thinking about it. I was thinking, what could be coming for next year? Now, many of you had mentioned that you thought that what's coming are larger batteries or dual battery bikes and possibly full suspension bikes. Yeah, I kind of thought about that too. I was thinking I'm seeing more full suspension bikes coming out. So we're talking a front fork suspension, we're talking a rear tail suspension. Some of them have suspensions in the middle and the back. Some of them just have one rear suspension thing. So some of them have springs. Some of them use ear shocks. Yeah, there's a lot of different types of suspension for the rear. Okay, and even the front. They tell you that we've got hydraulic shocks in the front. Some are just conventional spring-loaded shocks. So, but the fact is, shocks are there, right? So that was the prediction. We saw within the last year or so, hydraulic brakes were being made available on even lesser expensive bikes, right? So maybe full suspension bikes are coming for the next year. Maybe. That was a good prediction on your part. We'll see. We have to wait and see what new products come out and whether those products will have full suspension or not. So for me, I have, how many bikes do I have that have full suspension? The Engwe X24 is a 3 suspension on there, 3-point suspension. The Deere 26-inch, the Deere 20 are both full suspension bikes. The Engwe E26, I don't think I would consider it a full suspension bike. It's got a bike seat post suspension plus a front fork suspension. Somebody said that they lied, that there's no rear suspension. They said it was suspension. No, if you look at the website, they didn't lie. They told you that it's basically a seat post suspension. Okay, it's kind of stretching it a little bit. I would say that's anyone can put a seat post suspension, and you could call it a full suspension bike. No, usually when they say full suspension, what they're talking about is the frame has a suspension point, not just the seat post. Okay. Now, if you have a bike that doesn't have a full suspension, but you want some suspension, get a suspension seat post. Now they have 2 types. There's the type that is just one pole and there's a little spring in the middle. That's one type. Then you have another type. Hold on. I can feel it coming on. That's made from companies like Suntour. There's a couple other companies too. It kind of compresses and it moves the seat backwards. Okay, that's a little bit better. Yeah, the one on the Engwe E26, not the greatest. I told you even on the review, it compresses, but because of my weight, it doesn't come back up. I actually have to stand up on the pedal a little bit to let the seat post come back up before I can sit back down on it. Okay, so that's kind of a hassle. I could replace it with a better seat post, suspension seat post. Okay, but I didn't do it because I have other bikes that have it, and I could put a suspension seat post on every bike, but I think that would be a little pushing it a little bit too much. I don't need that. So whatever they give me is what I've got, and that's what I use. So anyway, that's the prediction that many of you guys had, that the frames are switching to full suspension frames, front and back. Okay, just kind of take a look to see what's offered and see what fits your weight and how your riding ability is. Okay, like for instance, I'll give you an example. The Magicycle Deer was the first one that I had with full suspension, but it's a spring-loaded type suspension in the back. And people asked, is that enough travel? For me, it is enough travel with the spring because I'm a heavy guy. For me, my more, what I worry about more is whether the spring can handle me, okay? For a lighter weight guy, you're probably wondering, is the spring loose enough to be able to give me some feel, or is it tightened up so much that I can't even feel it at all, okay? So that begs the question, is the suspension adjustable? Many of the bikes have adjustable rear suspensions, and many of the bikes don't, okay? The Deers do not. You cannot adjust those suspension points. The Engwe X24 is adjustable, yeah. Those two big springs that they have in the back, you can turn that and tighten it or loosen it. Yeah, so I think in general it came a little too tight, even for me, for my heavyweight. I couldn't feel it that much. So I loosened it all the way and I could feel it, okay? But if you're a lighter rider, would you be able to feel it? You might have a harder time feeling it. So everything depends on weight, riding terrain, how stiff that suspension is, okay? But I was glad to see that you guys are thinking, and predicting. What do you think what we might see for next year? So we'll see if we're right. We just have to wait it out and see what's offered for next year. But I think you might be right. I think full suspension is coming, okay? Now, question now is, how much is it going to cost us? I mean, they don't give you something for nothing, right? So it's going to cost you something. But I think the competitiveness of the e-bikes in the e-bike arena is such that people have to kind of keep their pricing structure within reason. Otherwise, people aren't going to buy it, okay? I mean, like I've always said, it's easy to make a really good bike that has a lot of fancy components on it if price is no object. It's a lot harder to make a really good bike with good components on it at a lower price, okay? And this is the challenge they have, because they know I think most buyers really want to stay at $2,000 and under. Yeah, that's my prediction of pricing. So the question really is what can they give us for the $2,000 and under price range for next year? Okay, like I said, if you say, oh yeah, look, this bike has everything in the world, how much is it? $5,000. Okay, they're not going to sell a whole lot of that. Okay, so you have to kind of say, give it a price range. How much can we do? Let's say $2,000, maybe $2,200 even at the most. What are they going to give us at that price? Put a comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm right, because Russ is always right. Told you guys that. Somebody said too, he says, you're so arrogant, I think he said, or something to that effect. I'm just kidding, guys, okay? Russ is not always right. Yeah, he is, but the name Russ is right. I told you the origin of the name, right? I was looking for something to call the channel, and I said, it's got to have a catchy thing to it so people remember it. So I said, well, what rhymes with Russ? Nothing. So I said, well, then maybe another R word. So Russ is right. That's how Russ is Right came about. Now, when you have a name like Russ is Right, everyone's always trying to throw in, Russ, you're wrong. Okay, yeah, never say you're wrong because you get banned from the channel. No, Russ is never wrong. I told you guys that. I might be incorrect, or I might have a different opinion. Russ is never wrong. Yeah, remember that. So anyway, okay. Well, anyways, I've lost my train of thought already. Anyway, we'll call it a day. So put your predictions down. Tell me what you think is coming in for next year. How much money you think is going to run, right? What are the features of next year's bike? What price point are they putting it at, okay? Or what price point would you buy something at, okay? Realistically speaking. Now, if you're not a first-time buyer, you're probably going to be able to spend a little bit more because now you're beginning to realize I need this and I need that and I need this. But let's look at it as for first-time buyer, okay? Even if you have multiple bikes, just pretend you're a first-time buyer, okay? What are you looking for next year? What do you think is going to have on the bike, and how much you think it's going to cost? My guess still is $2,000 to $2,200 max. So I mean, like I've been mentioning recently, like the Engwe E26, right? I've been saying what a great bike for the money. Yeah, there's a lot of bikes now coming in at that lower price point that has a lot of stuff for the money. They're not by themselves. There's other companies that do it too. When you look at those bikes and you go, ugh, I'm burping up the water. You look at those bikes and you go, yeah, look at that thing. Now, who is it? Electric just recently came out with a non-folding bike that looked really good for the money. Yeah. So, I mean, Electric's been known for pricing bikes within reason. I'm not sponsored by Electric, by the way. But it doesn't mean that I don't recognize that they have a good bike for the money, right? So, when you look at something like that, you look at the Engwe bike, you look at the new electric bike, you go, man, these things are so cheap. I wouldn't say cheap, but they're so low in price compared to some of the other bikes we had. And look at the stuff they're giving us now for the money. Yeah, put some prediction of what else you think would be available. Yeah. As far as brand names, yeah, you put in brand names if you want. It doesn't matter to me. Which brands you think are going to be product brands to look at for this coming year? That'd be kind of cool, huh? Yeah. I mean, a lot of times when you hear me talking about certain products, it's products that I've had experience with. These are bikes that has been given to me and that I've played with them for a while, so I kind of have experience. I could talk about it. Then sometimes you guys ask me about things like, what do you think of this bike? I don't know. I haven't gotten one. I have no idea. Or, how does this bike compare to this other bike? I don't know. I haven't gotten one. I don't know. So, yeah, I don't know all of the brands either. There's so many brands that have come out. So, the major brands we all know. Hold on. Oh, man. We all know those things. But some of the other brands, yeah, not familiar with sometimes. And then people always ask me, how come I don't get one? So, well, like I said, I don't go begging for bikes. If they give it to me, they give it to me. If they don't, they don't. I mean, there may come a point where I may finally say, hey, I think this bike is kind of cool. Maybe I'll ask them for one, okay? But usually I just let them come as they come. Anyways, if you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll talk to you guys next time.